How are you liking this cold so far?
Well, I lived in Connecticut for a long time before I went there, so it's not like I'm foreign to it, but I will say this is a different level of cold. Maybe not than we have on our worst days in Connecticut, but it's
a dry cold though, so it's
it
not
is.
that bad.
It is actually drier than it is back east, so it's okay. But this is cold, and I moved to Florida for a reason.
Do you get any good recommendations on social media? And just on that note, what did you think of the social media reaction in general?
It's been, the social media reaction has been amazing, and part of the entire campaign that the Big Sky Conference in Montana and Montana State kind of put together to bring us to the Brawl of the Wild has been, it's been fun, and they've sort of embraced the spirit of it and pushed, and we're looking forward to bringing them a great show on Saturday morning. So I didn't get the recommendation on social media, but I had breakfast, it was lunch, but I ate breakfast food at a place called Jam yesterday. And I didn't know, I was walking on the street kind of looking around, and a guy, the parents of one of the Montana State players saw me and said, "Are you looking for a place to eat?" And he said, "You should eat there." He said, "Best breakfast place in town." And I don't know if it's the best because it's the only one I've tried, but it was fantastic. It was amazing. Great
was
place.
your-
Highly recommended, and I'm not getting paid to say that. But I can be paid.
What was just your first impression when you found out College Game Day was coming to Bozeman last Sunday?
Well, we've been talking about it for a while, and it was I know that people don't necessarily believe this, but it was sort of the leader in the clubhouse late last week, and we felt like that, we'd probably wind up here, given a look at the schedule and some of the other parameters, because I think one of the things that sometimes people misunderstand a little bit is that not only do we cover the entire landscape of the sport, but the show doesn't necessarily have to be at any particular game just because it's two highly ranked teams or whatever it might be. And certainly these are two powerhouses at the FCS level. But we're looking for what's good for the show and good for the sport and good for the scene. And it's good for the show to go to a place that really wants you to be there. Not that the others don't, but when you go to a new place, there's a different kind of vibe and energy that goes along with that I think makes it compelling. And I think the scenery and the backdrop, if people are, most of our people are fans, and our viewers are pretty loyal and they know, but if someone's surfing around on Saturday morning, they stop and they see this backdrop and they see it's 2 degrees and people aren't wearing shirts, and they're going to stop and watch for a while, and so that's important too. And then it's not just a pregame show for any place we are, so it still covers the entire day of college football, but it's exciting to be able to go to a place where we haven't been, and everybody was on board with it. Trust me, it was kind of like, let's do that. That'll be great. So we're excited about it.
We talked about with some of your colleagues about how exciting it is to go to some place that's new and that really wants you. You've been doing this show for a while. Like, outside of that, how else are you able to keep that energy up and keep things fresh, given that you're talking about similar programs from show to show?
Well, every week is different in college football, and we live this. I mean, I get asked the question a lot: how much time do you spend preparing? I don't know how to answer it because it's a lifestyle for those of us who do this. So every week is exciting to me. If I ever go out on that set and I don't have an adrenaline rush, it's time to do something else. So whether we're in Bozeman or Tuscaloosa or Columbus or Clemson or Ann Arbor, I'm fired up to be there. Jackson, Mississippi, or Boone, North Carolina. I mean, we're lucky to get to do this show. I love this sport and this game and this show. There's not a better job in television. And I never take that for granted. So there's never an issue of, we got to go do this or that. I mean, I'm fired up, man. We get to, they hire us. We get to provide for our families by going to great venues and great games and talking about college football. That's amazing. And I never lose that. I mean, I'm getting to be old, but I don't think I'll ever lose that.
What did you know about Montana as a state or either of these schools or teams before you started diving into research?
Well, I knew, obviously, I was fully aware that Montana was a state. The 41st state. I knew that Brent Musburger lived here. I know that my former colleague and friend Bob Knight once had a home here, and a lot of other people do too. I've wanted to come on vacation here for years and years and just haven't been able to swing that for a variety of reasons. And I knew that they had two tough football programs. I played as the Grizz. Well, I hope that doesn't upset my Bobcat friends. I've played as the Grizz on the old EA Sports video game several times over the years. And, you know, I knew that they had 2 winning programs, and I knew that they've been good recently. The Montana State went to the national championship game last year. So, I mean, you know, we had a good foundation of knowledge, and you've been able to dig in and find that they both have, you know, some similar characteristics in terms of toughness and winning attitudes. They're almost certainly both going to be playoff teams this year. So,
What does it mean to you to showcase these 2 teams on a national stage? And, you know, that means so much to the people in Montana.
well, that's the thing. When people get excited for our show, we realize, all of us are fully aware that, you know, we're not the Rolling Stones or Taylor Swift. They're not just coming to see us perform. They're also coming to showcase their pride in their program. And when you can capture that on a Saturday morning, and the intensity and the love and the passion they have and the pride they have in their school, in their city, in their team, in their rivalry, the disdain that they have for the other side. I understand that there were some pretty graphic terms being cast toward Montana's way as the bus rolled into town. There's a certain chant, I think 3 syllables if I'm counting. Yeah, 3-syllable chant that I won't repeat. So, you know, it's intense and it's fun, and we want to capture that. So, and we are highly respectful of it, you know. So,
Speaking of that video game that you just mentioned, are you doing the voices for the game that's coming out next year?
I don't know if I'm supposed to say the answer to that question, but I'll answer it. Yeah, no, I'm thinking. Here's how I'll answer your question, just so I don't divulge anything I'm not supposed to. For several hours on Monday afternoon, I'm going to be really busy.
You talked about dealing with the cold, being from Connecticut. So what is the game plan?
I'm not from Connecticut. I've lived there a
being
long
in that
time.
area.
Yeah.
But do you let the hair go? Do you go beanie, earmuffs? What's the game plan? Because you always have your hair out and ready to go in the cold to deal with it. Are you going to wear a beanie, earmuffs?
Earmuffs are different. Now, I just want you to have a look at this coiffure. And I want you to tell me if you'd put a beanie. You've got pretty good hair. I wouldn't see you going beanie.
As someone who has multiple live hits at 6 a.m., there's no beanie.
No beanies. No beanies. You can't do that, because, you know, I don't know what to think about a man that won't keep his coiffure in order. $1 to anybody who knows what that quote is from.
Couldn't tell you.
I'm the man who's supposed to know what it is. So
George Clooney, oh brother, where art thou?
Obviously, there's a really
Dapper
big
Dan.
rivalry.
Dapper Dan, I like it. Good, very good.
Big rivalry on Saturday. You know, talking to David, he said, you know, Michigan and Ohio State are playing next week, but when you look at the history of Montana State, they've been playing this rivalry a lot longer. What have you learned about this rivalry? Are you going to stay and watch the game?
I'm going to stay for some of the game. There's a flight out. I mean, you have to make a choice. You're either home like Sunday, so I will be here for the majority of the game. I am pretty sure that it's not going to be settled by then, but I want to experience it. I want to be down there and see the intensity and the passion of it. And, you know, I think they've had, you know, great players on both sides of this. I got a kick out of it, although I know some of the fans aren't as excited that Marty Morningwig, who I think is doing the color on it, has said, yeah, that whole neutrality thing, I don't think that's going to work for me this week, which is great. You know, I mean, it's a lot of fun. So I know there might be some sensitivity to that in some quarters, but I think it's kind of fun. So.
It's fun to work with.
Yeah,
The Big Sky Conference has been getting a lot more national attention recently. Is that just a blip in the timeline, or is that a trend that you see continuing in the future?
They're good at marketing. Right. I mean, when you start hiring actors to come out and do a protest in front of ESPN, and, you know, and you have apparently some talented thespians within the conference office at the Big Sky, and Tom is, you know, Tom's an outside the box kind of thinker. You get attention, but you have to have a good product, right? And they have a tremendous product. I mean, they've got a chance to get what, half dozen teams in the playoff, maybe, if things fall right. I mean, that's, you know. That's a lot. There are only 24 teams in it, right? Which is also a lot, but still. You know, I think, I don't know exactly if it's a blip or a trend or anything like that, but I think when you have a good product to sell and you're smart enough to market it in creative ways, that it gets attention, and Big Sky's been able to do that.
That's how you mentioned R.J. Fitzgerald from Montana State will be featured on the show? Are there any other segments involving cats or grizz that you can
Yeah,
divulge?
Brett's going to come and Brett Vig will be here and do a live interview on the show. We'll do a lot of what we like to refer to as sense of place, where we try to make sure that people at home who are, you know, in Florida or Wisconsin or wherever it might be, kind of get a good feel for where we are and why we're here. So there will be some things like that in terms of the history of the rivalry. Brent will be on, and RJ gets a good mention. He got an assist from my buddy Pete Thamel on that, on some of the things from some of his conversations. So we'll get him in early and get him lathered up. So it'll be good.
Have you been impressed at all by the football culture here in Montana?
I'm impressed by the fact that it's important, and that's one of the things I think that I value in different places. And not to take that and run with it in a different direction, I personally think it's the biggest challenge that the Pac-12 as a whole has. They like it, but I don't know how important it is in terms of culture. Now you can say that's a good thing, that it doesn't lose its sense of place like it might in the SEC or at Ohio State or Clemson or someplace. But it's important, and I like that. You know, when people care and it sort of sticks with them, you know, whether it be fans, players, coaches, or whatever, the result of the game sticks with them, then, you know, I like that. So I think that's impressive.
Some of the other first-time places you've gone this year, Kansas, Jackson State, I mean, how did those shows go energy-wise, and how might they inform how tomorrow might go?
Well, I mean, that's kind of, first of all, we're going to bring energy from the set, but the energy in the crowd's kind of up to them. And all of those places that were new, I would say particularly Kansas. All of them were great, and Appalachian State was terrific too, but particularly Kansas was, they were into it. And that's, you know, that's always a lot of fun. I always sort of gauge the crowd by how responsive and how receptive they are when we do something to try to touch them or, you know, reference something, or even, you know, even just respond to what's going on. Over the years, we've been to Tennessee a lot, but we haven't been to Tennessee in a long time. That crowd was huge and very into the show. They were there and they were doing their thing and were singing Rocky Top and dancing and, you know, all of that stuff. But they were listening and they would react, you know, which is a good telltale sign. I didn't get the question I was heads up about. I'm very disappointed.
No one asked him about the bear.
No.
Oh yeah, I was
No.
going.
No.
Two more
If you
questions.
don't want to ask, you don't want to ask.
We have time for one more.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, so I've asked everybody. So if you're out in the wilderness, I don't know if you're a wilderness guy, but if you came across a bear or a bobcat, like what's going through your head?
Well, the first thing is experience, because of all of the great accolades and the physical prowess displayed by all of my teammates on the set, all of which vastly exceed mine. I can guarantee you one thing. There is one man on that set who has wrestled a live bear, and you're looking at it, Pat. That's me. I've wrestled a live bear, so I know what goes into that. If I have to take a grizzly.
You're ready to roll?
Now, yeah, they're big and strong, and one swat can knock you on your butt, and I have experience with that too. You got to watch out for the cat, because the cats by nature are sneaky, and they kind of lurk silently. Well, a bear, he's going to break some sticks and stuff when he's coming at you. You're going to know he's coming, right? So you can kind of gird yourself for battle. The cat, you better keep your head on a swivel, because he might pounce on you from behind, and that can be problematic with the claws and all. So, you know, I think relative to what you'd have to do is, one thing, you'd want to keep a wide base with the bear and stay on your feet as best you can. And the other thing is you'd need to be able to deliver a quick strike punch to the bobcat. And perhaps if you got a water bottle, cats don't like water. So sometimes if you spray them with water, but it'd be problematic here because it would turn to ice very quickly. And so that's probably
And
what
if they
I would
get
think.
like a hand or a finger, that's fine. Just don't mess up the hair.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Who'd be the first one to go on the
Like an
game day crew?
anchor
Who would
man
be the
thing.
first one just?
First one to fight or first one to bail?
To fail.
Bail.
Yeah.
Oh, Felica's. Felica.
The bear. The bear.
Done. The bear, yeah, he loses, for sure. Although he's pretty tough, but I think he loses.
Spoken like a true Mike
Gotta have
Lee.
the bear go up against a bear tomorrow.
A bear versus bear.
Yeah.
Where did the wrestle go?
Sounds like a segment.
Yeah.